I'm joined now by Robert Mihaly. He is a local artist we talked to on Saturday about a painting he was working on of the monks on their walk for peace. Robert, thank you for chatting with me again. And you've got the painting there behind you. You got to show the monks that painting as they left Raleigh this morning. Walk me through your morning and how did it go?
Oh, it was kind of amazing. Well, first of all, I looked out the window and it was supposed to be freezing rain all day. And I thought, will they even be walking? And but then, I checked and checked. And I think it took them a while. Maybe it was pushing 7 o'clock when they left, for all I know. But I found my way to them, and I brought my wet painting. It's completely wet. You could just smear it like icing. And but I felt like they might appreciate seeing it. They're I feel like in my own life, I make art. I wind up being by myself for long periods of time. And sometimes I'm making a marble sculpture that could take a year. But in other times, it's just a matter of days or whatever for a painting. But, I'm in my own little world and in my own little practice. And then, I really had no idea what they would think. So I stood by the road with the painting and I had no idea, I was really just hoping for a nod or a smile. I would have been thrilled with that. But as they walked up, they just started like smiling and laughing, and their eyes lit up, and they came up and they like sort of one at a time they hugged me, and they were pointing each other out in the painting as they recognized each other, and they all whipped out their cameras. They they went from looking medieval to looking 21st century in a second with all their cameras. But I just feel like it was really special. We're it was very much sort of like two different worlds, but they are two different worlds of sort of discipline. And for me, it's kind of like a different planet. I mean, for me, I'm just like all about beauty and creating moments that whether it's a painting or a sculpture, it's like you're spending all this effort like just sitting with a moment in time. And I think what they do is something like the opposite. I mean, they're not holding on. They're just kind of like releasing. And so they're on their practice, which presently is about motion. But I think maybe when they're in the monastery, it's still about just letting go moment by moment. And whereas mine's holding on, but still, I feel like we just kind of connected. And one of the monks, he told me that in Thailand, he had actually gone to art school before he was a monk. And that I just feel like we could really appreciate one another's practice. That's before you even get into, different kind of messages that might be inspiring them. But just really like the human crossing of the paths was beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds like just such a special moment. And, obviously you have the painting behind you. For people who may have missed our conversation on Saturday, what is depicted in that painting? Just kind of walk us through it.
Well, I caught up with them on the first time our paths intersected. I caught up with them on High Point, and they were walking through downtown High Point. They just left a big stadium there. And I think they might have changed their path at the last moment because the app had them on a parallel road, but they decided to walk down Martin Luther King Boulevard, and that's the road I found them on. And it was so beautiful. So many people had bundles of flowers, and I'm all about the beauty, so I'm getting attracted to the flowers, and people would just hand them flowers as they walk by, and of course they only have so many hands, and they're already carrying bags and things, and so they would just pass the flowers back out to people. And it's really, I think about just those instantaneous moments when someone would hand them the flower, they would hand the flower back, and then that's my territory. Those instant moments of beauty. And so that was kind of the nice thing, that when they were there with the painting, I feel like they were just fully appreciating it in the moment. And then it is, and then our paths just diverged. And then I'm right back to my practice. They're back to their practice. And And I think that's what they're good at. They're good at that, kind of enjoying the moment and just totally letting it go and releasing it. And I don't know. I feel like that's something I can relate to too. Because with my work, like a lot of times I'm just painting a really simple thing. I'm not necessarily painting, the Grand Canal in Venice. No, I have done that too, but I'm a lot of times it's just a particular couple leaves on a tree and the light filtering through, and just that one moment is is so special that I feel like it should be honored, and I sort of honored in my way, and they do in theirs.
I know it's so many feelings all at once, but if you could, is there one word that you could use to describe how it felt, that moment when, the monks saw your painting and that recognition?
It's really like recognition is the word, because really, um, I I felt like, I mean, they're literally walking thousands of miles, and they literally are walking through icy rain trying to get to their destination. And Lord knows I don't want to be the one to slow them down and make their day any longer. But but I feel like we just connected with each other's joy, and that sort of recognition of discipline. I mean, obviously, the one monk who had already trained as an artist, he could experience it, and I feel like something about our different ways of interacting with a moment of living, that our paths, like in that way, our perspectives, our way of seeing the world intersected, and so that's really what was so beautiful about it.
All right, and again, for anyone who may not have heard our conversation on Saturday, what are kind of your plans for this painting now that you just have it and you've had this incredible experience?
Well, that's funny. I mean, eventually someone will probably buy it from me, and then I'll say goodbye to it in the world, but which is fine with me. It's like, it's funny when I make a painting or whatever, I'm really sitting with it a long time. I'm sitting with that moment of light, and then I guess I release it too. It just takes me a little bit longer than others. I actually have an art show coming up next Friday in Hillsborough from 6 to 9. I'm kind of excited by that. It's just a skylight gallery, and so my painting will be there. Hopefully, no children will decide to finger paint with all the wet paint, but I guess it is what it is.
Right, I'm sure if any of the elements would have affected it, that almost would have become part of the art, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely that too. It was out there in the freezing rain, and that's exactly my attitude. It's just part of it's part of the history of the work. If you had Thomas Jefferson's writing desk and there was a scratch on it from his child or himself, you would just treasure it all the more.
All right. Well, Robert, thank you so much for your time. It's a beautiful piece. Thank you for sharing it with us, and stay warm the rest of the day.